We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break. What's that that's coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is the Joe Allon Show. Good evening, Joe.
Evening, Steve.
Good to see you, mate. As always, I've got an hour of chat about Newcastle United, and it's very positive at the moment as far as we are concerned. Another win, Joe, against Arsenal, following on from that fantastic cup performance against Chelsea, and an important one because it was in the Premier League, denting Arsenal's championship qualities, I guess, and enhancing our European confidence coming up as well. But what was your thoughts on the game, Joe?
Oh, the first game, Chelsea, I was absolutely delighted. I mean, there's a little bit of raised eyebrow, Steve, as you know, about the team that he picked. But what we said was vitally important to get off to a flying start. And in the first challenge, the crowd were off their feet, you know, and that set the stall. That put everything in perspective for the game that it was going to be. We knew that Chelsea are going to change it. I mean, the size of the squad, they could have played 4 teams. But at the same time, what we've got to do is just beat the thing that's in front of us, you know, and we took the game very, very positively. And like I say, getting off to a cracking start. But also, we wanted to stay in the game over the 90 minutes. That was imperative because, you know, Chelsea can huff and puff and what have you. But at the same time, we would have took the result that we did get, but it was vitally important not to go out of the competition. And we did that, you know. And I just thought it was an all-round massive improved performance that has took the team into the game on the Saturday. And plaudits to everyone because, you know, you say who was man of the match and who you could pick as being a good performance. I just thought the overall team performance, without sounding like him off Strictly Come Dancing, was fabulous. You know, I mean, I did say that the first challenge set the spark, you know, and it created a fire. I mean, it should have been last night, this show, because that would have went down well as a bonfire night joke, wouldn't it? But it was a fire that kept on burning, and obviously we got a massive result and a wonderful draw in the next round, you know.
I've seen a few of the negative reports in the paper, Joe, about our performance against Arsenal. People saying Arsenal weren't the best, or Newcastle got, Newcastle were slightly lucky. The way that the Southern press sometimes comment on us, but I genuinely thought, Joe, Newcastle really bossed that game from start to finish. And I don't know about you, but when I seen the starting lineup, I was like, oh no, what is Eddie doing? Why has he dropped Tonali? Kraft deserved a chance. He might have started centre half, but the way it actually worked out was trust in Eddie. We trust, mate, because he picked the team for that game, and we bossed that game from start to finish. We might not have had the possession, but the main thing was, ultimately the goal. The goal was what mattered. We won by a wonderful goal, but it was a much better performance than that one goal margin suggests.
Well, talking from the team point of view, yeah, Eddie, this is the decisions that the manager's got to get, and it's a team that you put out to win every single game, and it could be differently because you're playing different opposition, and that's what you've got a squad for. That's what you've got rotation for. What I was delighted for was the fact that, again, I couldn't pick a man of the match, because, again, we started like a house on fire, which was, the total opposite of the league game away at Stamford Bridge, when we started slacking both halves, and it cost with the game. But against Arsenal, I'll come on to the Southern press and I'll come on to their manager in a second. But I've got to say about the formation that he put out, we've got to say about the left-hand side, and how well the left-hand side does. I can name, honestly, 11 men of the match, but I want to highlight a few players, because players that you might not, the unsung heroes, if you like. Yeah, I'm paying tribute straight away to the goal scorer, Isak, right? He for me, he's on a run again. You asked me last week about how the centre forwards get the confidence. They get the confidence for scoring goals. And he's come out, right? He's looked from the first game when he come back, he's looked 100% sharper in everything that he's doing. And he's on this little roll, and that breeds confidence for a striker. So that's him took care of. By the way, the goal was fitting of a goal that would win any game of football. It was a wonderful, wonderful goal. Brilliant, brilliant cross. But the play before that was great. It was a great pass. But just the perfect finish from a centre forward who, it's wonderful to see. This is the Isak that we want. And that's brilliant. But I want to talk about the other players. For me, Sean Longstaff, he's done all the stuff that's horrible for a midfield player to do, and it goes unsung a lot of the time, And his general play was absolutely phenomenal compared to the solidity that he gave the side. But Lewis Hall, I've got to give as well. I think he's in an unbelievable vein of form. I thought he was outstanding playing Saka. Arguably, he was one of England's best players in the Euros. He was a star for me. And what did Hall do? He snuffed him out, or gave him one little half chance, the header, but he'd done enough with his body to put him off, And I thought Hall was outstanding. But my player of the match was Joe Willock. I thought the way that Joe Willock ran his heart off, he ran himself into the ground, but also his play between linking up, the midfield to the forward line, and his unselfish running as well. His touch and his general all-round play, I just thought was superb. Even to the point where the kids ran himself, Steve, into the ground, and I saw him. I don't know if other people saw it. He gestured to the bench. Listen, I'm cream cracker here. Get us off and get somebody else on, which he did for the team, and we love that. And then that last run, where Joel Linton put him through with a great piece of play on the left-hand side. I mean, we were breathing. I mean, I'm not being funny. All of us were breathing for him, He was blown like in a sauna. But, the brilliant, unselfish play when he caught, he got a great ovation. And for me, Joe Willock was man of the match, I just thought he was great.
Yeah, great performance, great result, and puts Newcastle right back in it. And just broadening it a little bit, Joe, I've got to be honest, I think the way the Premier League's shaping up at the moment is intriguing, isn't it? Because usually there's a top, a middle, and a bottom. But at the moment, there's just a top and a bottom. You're 4 points away from Dyson with a little bit of relegation. You're 4 points away from maybe being in a European place and 6 points off the Champions League.
Well, listen, the 2 games are gone, right? We didn't see this one coming. We're now in the quarterfinals of the League Cup, yeah? We've got a great home draw against Brentford. That's all you want. You want a home draw, right? I don't know about everybody else, but I really feel this is the time that we're going to put some silverware in that cupboard, right? That's been redundant for years and years. We're going to do it this year because everything that we're doing, we're just beating what's in front of you. I know we went through on penalties with Notts Forest. I know that you get through 1-0 against Wimbledon, whatever, played well against Chelsea. But this now is a plumb time, and there's a lot of big teams going out of this competition, and we've got that home draw to get 2 bites of the cherry in the semi-final, to get to Wembley and get some silverware on the board. And I think this is the best chance for years. I'm so excited about it, Steve. I'm not being funny. I'm just glad we didn't draw that Man United. I never played for them, because if we draw any of my other clubs that I played for, we'll get all the way through to Wembley. I was looking for Hartlepool and Brentford, and then Brentford come out, and I was thinking, oh my God, Hartlepool's knocked out. Here we go. But it's a great home draw. Getting on about the Southern press as well. What I love it. You know what? I love it. I've played for Southern teams, but I love it when the Southern press moan against the Northeast. And I loved it when Arteta, right, had a little bit of his own medicine. A few months ago, when Man City played Arsenal and Man City got a man sent off, Arsenal done anything in the powers of the game to win that game. And they conceded in the 96th minute, John Stones scored, right? And Arteta was furious and whatever, but he tried every trick in the book to get that game professionally. When it was done to him, what we did on Saturday, right, was the most professional performance that frustrated them, because you know why? We were too good for them. That's why. So have a bit of that, Arteta. Stick that in your pipe. Getting on about the league position, you think that there's 8 teams, Steve, between us and that 3rd spot that Nottingham Forest currently have got at the minute. So there's 8 teams in 3 points. Now, that's a great little omen to think of in the space of that game before the international break, going to Notts Forest, full of confidence, playing the team that Eddie picks for the match. And I think you play, the same side again. And if we do get that chance, let's match against every player that they've got. You get Dan Burn on Chris Wood, yeah? You get him to do a job on him. He scored 8 goals this season. He's their main threat. The next goal scorer's got 2. You get the fullbacks to take care of this Gibbs White and Hudson-Odoi, and you get Longstaff to take care of one of their best players, which is a young midfield player that they've got. You know, he's a local lad who he's that good. I'm forgetting his name, but he's a good player in midfield, and I think our forward line can take care of their back line. Their back line can't take our forward line. And I think we'll get a result against Notts Forest by just going out and setting a stall out and win your individual battle. That's what we've got to get, that mindset again. And I'm looking forward to the game on Sunday. I think we'll do really, really well down Forest, who are, by the way, without a shadow of a doubt, the form team in the Premier League.
Well, I'll come to that in the second half of the show. Apologies, my vision tonight is spot on, but my picture isn't. Internet issues tonight, so people are saying that I'm a bit blurry. But never mind. We will crack on as long as you can hear us. That's the most important thing. Joe mentioned the Brentford game. Incidentally, it's been announced today that Wednesday, the 18th of December, we will be live on Sky Sports Plus for the Carabao Cup quarter-final, and it will be a 7:45 kickoff for that particular game. And there was also a confirmation, because there was a little bit of confusion. This year it was suggesting that they might only be doing 1 leg in the semi-finals. So if we are lucky enough to get through to the semi-finals, good news, it's 2 legs in this year's Carabao Cup. So a 2-legged semi-final if we are lucky enough to get through. So fingers crossed. Stephen Kennedy, good evening, asks a question. He says, hi lads, do you think we will see Callum Wilson before Christmas? Or is the club holding him back so they can sell him in January? Interesting this, Joe, because, in one way, you want to see him come in, you want to see him play. His injury record has been very poor. We've talked about it many times on this platform anyway. Is there a little bit of that, do you think? Is he one of those players who could still bring in a few quid for Newcastle, and with PSR still very much in mind? Is that one of those kind of players that could generate us some decent money to add to the money that we still got to spend that was burning a hole in our pocket in the last transfer window? Or is it caution on the club's behalf or his behalf? Are they just being very cautious, not wanting to rush him back?
First and foremost, Steve, you've got to have a player that's fit, because another club's not going to sign a player that's not playing. So I think he's got to be back into the side first and foremost to get in the shop window, and he's got to start playing to show that he's fitness, because people are going to pay 25 million for somebody that's not going to be fit. They're not going to do that, and they'll have done the homework on his injury and what it is. But it seems a hell of a long time for Callum to be out. We've got to say, in his defence, his goals for games record's fantastic. But is it any good having a forward that's going to spend half the season on the sidelines? It's no good to me, to be perfectly honest. And if we could cash in on him, my personal point of view is to sell him, because, like you say, he's the one that can probably command a fee. And I really want a centre forward in. I think I said to you the other week, get with either a big target man, or get with somebody like a Craig Bellamy that can unsettle somebody that's horrible, that's going to run at people and turn them around, turn the back four around that we're playing against. Or a big target man to take some weight off Isaac. But, the way that they're playing at the minute, I don't think that's probably top of the shopping list. I probably think that the more so looking at a right-sided player. So does that open the door? I'll ask you, Steve, does it open the door for Jacob Murphy to go? And does it open the door for Harvey Barnes? I mean, there's another potential 20+ million in the coffers, if you like. And do you go all out and sign one decent player? I have seen loads in the press about the guy at Brentford, Brian.
And Bremo, yeah.
And, he is a good player, and he has made the transition, I think, from the Championship to the Premier League fantastically well. But you're going to have to pay probably about 45 to 50 million quid to get him. And have we got that type of money? And do we gamble on that one player, where you're going to bring in, that's going to be probably your transfer deadline in January, bringing in him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the problem we've had as a football club in recent transfer windows is getting rid of players who we don't want anymore. We've tried to get rid of some of these players. We've tried to get rid of Miguel Almiron in 2 successive windows. We failed for whatever reason. And I mean, I take everything with a pinch of salt that I read in the newspapers, because, unless I hear it from the club that someone's signed and I see a photograph of them wearing the shirt or holding up a scarf on the beloved turf, then I tend not to believe the newspapers. But it's, it's there for all to see. We haven't been able to get rid of some of the deadwood. Ryan Fraser, for example, when he was dragging this out at St James's Park. Do you think we struggle because of the wages, Joe? Some of these players are getting paid a king's ransom, which they know if they leave Newcastle, they're going to have to take a drop.
Unfortunately, this is the way football is in the climate, And if you're paying the big bucks and they're not getting justified a place, the players themselves, I mean, all I ever wanted to do, Steve, to get blessed to play professional football, right? And to keep my career going on. That's why I had 9 clubs, because I wanted to play football every week. I couldn't care who it was for and what have you. At times, there is financial decisions and what have you. But as players nowadays, I don't think they've got the hunger anymore to want to play for a football team and take that drop at times, I mean, there is times, when you've got to look at yourself and think, do you want to just be a professional footballer and getting paid umpteen amount of pounds every week for sitting on your backside? Or do you want to actually get out there and prove it and, and do it? And I don't know whether the attitude's changed. I mean, you're getting players as well, which is ridiculous the way I see. Some of the Chelsea contracts and Man City contracts, players that are on 4 to 7 year deals, Back in my day, you were lucky to get a 2-year contract. You went from 2 years to, if you were any good, you would get 3 years, And that was the rule of thumb for most of my career. But, I mean, it was prehistoric times. But, the wages now these days, definitely, we are paying top dollar to a lot of players. I can see that, but it's whether I think 3 inches under the left bosom, you know, that heart. They've got the heart of wanting to play football. Do they want to play football for this club? I mean, I did see that there was a couple of players yesterday, which Sky Sports very kindly got Newcastle United's indoor training warm-up, which I froze on the telly. They pointed me and my lovely technical ability. It was the fact that the pitch had froze. And I saw that there was a couple of the players that had been on the fringe were joining in training. So, you know, it'll be good to see what sort of squad that he takes. Obviously, you'll never know until now or before the game what the starting lineup's going to be. But, well, you know, you see a few of the injured players getting back in amongst it. There was certainly a few training amongst the side that I clocked on Monday's coverage by the great Sky Sports.
Yeah, okay. I just want to change tact a little bit, Joe. I got sent some wonderful, wonderful pictures which have been appearing on Facebook, and I know we get a few ex-players watching this, so this will bring back a few memories for the lads sitting at home watching our podcast. And in no particular order, we've got from 1986 these photographs. So this is just the era. That you'll remember the fences at the Gallagher end. You'll remember the Gallagher end being like that, and you'll remember the scoreboard and the pylon. And you know, me and you were talking about Keegan's hot dog van, which used to be in the old
Yeah.
corner. Where did they wash their hands, Joe? There's
Keegan Burgers.
Keegan's Burgers, yeah, the East Stand there, of course, which hasn't changed at all. And wow, the old ash path. They used to go around as well, the cinder path that went round the pitch, which is fascinating. A proper wet and windy, rainy day there, typical Newcastle summer's day. This is in the old East Stand paddock, which of course is where I moved when I grew up a little bit. I moved from the Gallagher. I started my life in the Gallagher, and I moved to this little section. This was actually my side of the East Stand section. As you can see, these photos are copyrighted by David Featherstone, but he shared them on Facebook, so we're just giving him a little bit of credit there. But yeah, it wasn't a packed house that day. I always remember when it was raining like that. We used to stand up against the fence rather than standing back like that. But anyway, that of course is the old West Stand there. That from a different side. From the opposite end of the paddocks, and there you get on the top left there. You see a wonderful photograph of you capture a part of the old West Stand, and that was like corrugated iron, a fascinating stand. That I remember when it was coming down. You knew that you'd never see the like at St James's Park again. That's now into the Gallagher, looking into the West Stand paddock. A bit more of the frontage there of the old West Stand, sorry, and that's further back on the terracing as well, looking out. This is all the same game, 1986, as I say. As you can see, the university building's still there in the background, and a good shot there of the old the Leazer's End, the dilapidated Leazer's End, because obviously after years of lack of investment. The plans that they'd laid in the 60s didn't come to fruition, the 60s and the 70s, and the Leazers just was left open and bare like that. And now obviously a fantastic stand there, but that was what a lot of people had to stand in. And we, as home fans, I actually for a period stood in the Leazers next to the away fans when you could do that, which was, again, I've pretty much stood or sat in most parts of the ground since 1984. Another shot there. Now that's just next to what was the old pylon that was left in the ground. And last but by no means least, this photograph, which is a classic. And I mean, Joe, you looking at that will have, I guess, lots of memories of just turning up at the ground, getting ready to play.
That's my football club. That's everything. That's a great picture. That I'd love to get that picture. That's fantastic. No, it really is. Yeah, and then going up the steps was brilliant. Happy days, Steve. I always remember about the fences. I didn't know whether it was to keep the players in, or the players out, or the crowd in, or the crowd out. I couldn't get it, but they were horrible, the fences, weren't they? But obviously Keegan when Keegan, his promotion side of 83, 84, they were rammed up against the fences. There wasn't a seat in the whole ground, you know. It was 38,000 every week, wasn't it, you know? And we were lucky to stand as apprentices next to the dugout, where back in the days, the old shoot program used to have the camera in the halfway line, and then there was 2 cameras behind the goal on each lasers and Gallagher, and there was 1 referee and 2 linesmen. Oh God, there was 1 game of football with a football and 22 players. What a lovely, easy game. Why did they have to go and complicate it by spoiling that beautiful game of football? Oh my God. Oh.
When I was looking at these photographs, I did manage to find this one from the 90s. And of course, that was how the East Stand looked. Obviously, when the new East Stand started in the 90s, and we had Sir John Hall come in. I did a radio interview with Sir John Hall outside the West Stand, and there it is. Look at that photograph.
Beautiful.
Me and Sir John Hall outside the that's not there now anyway. That's the old players' entrance. But
that took 15 minutes off you. That
15 minutes. It was cold. You can see I'm looking very hunched up there, but fascinating, great stuff. Great to look back on photos. We do like them, and if you've got any, join our Facebook group, like the Facebook page, stick them on there. If you've took any photographs at the match at any time, I've got some great ones. We're going to have a quick break for the ads, and Joe and I will then have plenty to talk about. We are going to look ahead to the Notts Forest game at the weekend.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website is mrvickies.co.uk. Email them info@mrvickies.co.uk or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. Congratulations to them on their Travel and Tourism Award 2024. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges. All excursions included. Find them at their website www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And don't forget, we are also available as a podcast on iTunes and Spotify and other podcast providers. If you get the time, please hit the subscribe button. It does do us a big favour. Hit the like button, which is the thumb under the video. That helps the channel grow. And click share to share to your other social medias. You can also hit the join button and become a member. Some dates for your diary. In aid of Newcastle Cat and Dog Shelter, the Long Sands play the Clooney. That takes place on Saturday, January the 4th, 2025. With support from Lilac Lane and the Chris Norris Band. Tickets pre-sale are £15 from newcastlelegends.com or from the venue direct. Peter Beardsley will be doing a talk-in at the Tyneside Irish Centre. That takes place on the 10th of January. Tickets are £30. VIP tickets are £60 and you can get them from newcastlelegends.com. An evening with the entertainers takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House in Newcastle on the 24th of January. Kevin Scott, Steve Watson, Steve Howie, John Beresford, Rule Fox, Peter Beardsley, Rob Lee, Keith Gillespie, Liam O'Brien, Darren Peacock, Paul Bracewell, Lee Clark and Killer Kill Klein are all going to be there with Gibbo, and you can get your tickets from the box office 0191 243 1171 or the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. Lee Clark will be at the Gateshead Leisure Centre. That is on the 31st of January, and tickets available from the Leisure Centre 0191 250 5066. Les Ferdinand will be at the Newcastle O2 City Hall the 6th of April 2025. That is a 12 o'clock start until 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Tickets available from ticketmaster.co.uk. And Will Scott's book on the entertainers is out now. £18.99, over 380 pages, and a lot of unseen photographs. You can buy that book now from newcastlelegends.com. And we do have some fanzines remaining. If you want to buy an NUFC Matters fanzine, issue 1 is still available, again from newcastlelegends.com. And please take your time to flip onto our other channel, The Word on Blake 7. Please hit the subscribe button and help that channel grow.
Thanks for your messages coming in. Jules, good evening. She says, official NUFC retail concession will open on the store's lower ground floor 1st of November to 31st January 2025, giving visitors to Newcastle City Centre even greater access to the Magpies Adidas kits and gift ideas. I think that was something to do with Phoenix, Jules, that you mentioned earlier. So thanks for that. Jopadoni says, those concrete triangle things in the Leazes were weird. I remember we scored once and I was sat on one, not after the goal. You'll believe a boy can fly. Yes, we all did that. We all did that. And Tom Dixon says, Joe, do you still keep in touch with any former players you played with?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, back in the day, if they're still alive, I mean, I get calls off some of the players all the time. Billy Whitehurst called us the other day, who was a record signer at one time for Newcastle United. And Billy obviously had, without a shadow of a doubt, the tag of being the hardest man in football. And when you're getting Vinnie Jones saying that, who's the hardest man in football, and he's saying Billy Whitehurst, you're taking notice of it, you know. And Billy is a character and a good friend. But there's a few other players that we knock about with and see now and again. Yeah, I mean, footballers, you know, like ships passing in the night at times, but when you see each other, you know, you pick it up straight away. It's a friendship that's there for life, you know.
Yeah, Big Billy, I love the way you used to describe him to me. Hard as goat's knees.
Hard as a coffin nail.
Yeah. I mean, somebody like that, I mean, wouldn't get away playing today's game, but I mean, they just had a different mentality, didn't they? Back in those days, centre forward, big centre forward.
Billy was a street fighter, you know, as well as a footballer. He was a street fighter. Mm-hmm. And I can remember I was playing Sheffield Wednesday, and they had a centre off called Paul Hart. He was about 6'6". He used to play for Forest and Leeds. And I just remember the gaffer said, if you're struggling, kick somebody in the corner, and the corner flag will go, get in, local lad, hard, good lad, get in. And he says the crowd will get behind you. Anyway, I kicked this Paul Hart, and he picked us up by the throat like that, and picked us, and I just heard this voice, and he said, Artie, if thee touches one hair on his blonde head, I'm going to put thee over Gallagher. And Paul Hart said, big man, I don't want any trouble with you. I don't want any bother with you, Billy. And Billy went, Artie, thee's got it, son. Thee's got it. Trouble that was. And he put us down nice and gently, and I went, see, told you.
Brilliant stuff. Ian says, Billy scored the winner for my local team, Glentoran, in the Irish Cup final. Tommy Cassidy brought him over the Irish Sea.
I didn't know that he went to Ireland. I knew he drank Guinness, but I didn't know he went to Ireland.
Maybe that's why he started drinking Guinness. I remember him coming to do a talking for once, you and I once, at Fluid Bar and Kitchen, which is no longer there now. And I think you and him ended up in the Irish Club, had 10 pints of Guinness and came round. And somebody's just called him Billy Sinatra Whitehurst. Well, he actually came into the bar that day, took the mic off me and started singing My Way. And then he apologised to Newcastle fans who he'd never spoken to since he'd left for the way that he'd left. And he was getting, I remember him going down the tunnel that day and he was getting spat at by people going down that the old players' tunnel, and he stuck the V's up at the people doing it to him. But unfortunately for him, it had appeared that he was sticking the V's up at the Newcastle fans, and that was the way that it got like crossed over. But he got a resounding reception that day, didn't he, Joe?
Yeah, but Billy, he was actually doing it at the board of directors.
Oh, right. There you go.
He knew Billy. He knew Steve that he was getting sold to Oxford before that game, and they were taking him off because they knew they were selling him to Oxford and recuperating quite a lot of money off his transfer fee. And that's what he did that for. It was misinterpreted. By the way, going to the Irish club, when Billy Whitehurst says you're coming for a drink with us, I'm sorry I'll leave you that day. But when he says I'm coming for a drink with you, I was going for a drink with him. If he said it was Friday, it was Friday.
David Cook says, I love these shows with Joe. He clearly bleeds black and white and speaks with so much love for our club. Thank you, Joe, he says.
Thanks, David. Thank you.
Stephen wants to change tact. He says, what is Joe's taste in music and what have been his favourite concerts?
Brilliant question, Stephen. I mean, I've got a varied taste, believe it or not. Anything, to be honest. I have my little moments, you know. I mean, if you start off in the 80s, you would have probably put us down like I was on the back of punk rock and heavy metal. I mean, you even not here in them days. I remember when you used to headbang. And but I went from that to like I quite like Spandau Ballet and the as in the blonde hair Carry On. And I think that was persuaders because I drove Willie McFall mad for a year because he kept on telling us to get my hair cut, and just I'm off. I used to keep my hair long. And then when Spandau Ballet went to Whitley Bay Ice Rink, I saw Tony Hadley had one of them wedge haircuts, and I thought, I've got enough hair to get one of them. So I liked Spandau Ballet. But my main favourites basically is what me dad used to listen to in the house on a Sunday morning, you know. And I used to love listening to none other than Nat King Cole, you know. And him and my mother had a song by Nat King Cole, the great Nat King Cole. And it was a beautiful song that he used to sing at the top of his voice every Sunday morning. So a varied music from punk rock to Nat King Cole. Doesn't get any better than that.
Jules has said no singing. That's aimed at me. But Jules, we've had to pre-record the Amigos for Friday. You're in for a treat. Just keep an eye out for Tweet of the Week. Wraithy headbanging amongst all the others with chest-length hair, says Joppadoni. Is that some kind of vision that you've had? Spandau who, says Stephen Kennedy. He's not very impressed. Joppadoni says, I'll tell you mine. Kenny Rogers at the Arena. The Queen at St James's Park. I think you mean Queen, not the Queen. I wasn't there, but despite living 5 miles away, I could still listen to it.
I went to Queen. I was at the concert that day, believe it or not. I give me tickets to my family, and I could only get one seat when I went upstairs. I nicked up to the director's box, and I sat in the director's box, and nobody told us off. And the next minute, somebody comes sat next to us, and you wouldn't believe it was Jack. And I thought, I'm in trouble here. And he turned around, he went, I don't believe it. They're rubbish. I'm going home. And he got up and left. The best band I ever seen, Queen. Unbelievable, Jeff.
Typical Jack, that, like, he was away fishing, was he?
Well, he just said that. They're rubbish. I don't like them. They're too loud.
You mentioned Brentford. We've got them in the quarterfinals, Joe. I know you're looking forward to this game, and it's another game against your one of your ex-teams. And as I mentioned earlier, quarterfinal tie will take place at St James's Park Wednesday, December the 18th, 7:45 kickoff. Ticket details are awaited. Obviously, if you've registered for the Cup scheme, you'll get them automatically, and the money will just come out of your account. The tie comes between Saturday Premier League games against Leicester City at home and Ipswich Town away. And as was the case against Wimbledon and Chelsea earlier this season, the tie wasn't chosen by live TV transmission, meaning that it'll be on Sky Sports Plus. Other games in the round, Arsenal versus Crystal Palace and Southampton versus Liverpool take place on the Wednesday. And on the Thursday, Spurs will play Manchester United. And then the winners of the tie face a two-legged semi-final in the weeks commencing January the 6th and February the 3rd. Newcastle will be without Sean Longstaff against Brentford. The midfielder serves a 1-game ban following cautions against Wimbledon and Chelsea earlier in the competition. But this is, there's no easy games when you get to the quarterfinals, Joe. But when you look at those other teams, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Liverpool, Spurs, Manchester United, on form and current form at the minute, you'd say, well, maybe Southampton at home might have been slightly easier. But the rest of them, big games, and it's can't take it for granted. Got to go in with a positive attitude and fully focused, and go in and really go for that game, haven't they, when it comes round?
Exactly, Steve. I mean, I'm not being funny, but I really, really fancy us. I was delighted by the draw. Honestly, it'd be lovely to see some of the people from Brentford again, but you know what? It'll be sending them on the way home, hopefully getting knocked out the cup and us marching on to the semi-final. But I think it's a great tie for us. And if we set our stall out like we have done, just lately, and keep on that momentum, keep it going, you've got to beat the best teams in the competition. And there's still obviously some big clubs in our country still in the competition, but one of them is definitely going out in Tottenham and Man United. So that there's another one. If you get lucky, who knows? But let's get through this game first. Again, go back to the adage. Is the tie, because I'm asking you because I don't know, will it go to penalties straight after if it was 90 minutes or
straight to penalties, mate. Yeah, they don't do extra time anymore. So
it's keeping the game again for the 90 minutes, definitely. Yep. But playing at home, and again, with the side that Eddie puts out, horses for courses, Brentford's there to beat, And hey, can you imagine what a Christmas present it would be to get that a week before Christmas? I'll settle for that. That can be my Christmas present from you. Get us through the semi-final. I love that.
Fingers crossed. No, I've not heard about this, Jules, so it's not been spoken about. I've not seen any preview of a Kevin Keegan display, but that's great news if there is going to be one. It's a big legend of our club as a player and as a manager, of course. So fingers crossed. It would be great to see that if the plans are to do that for a big game before the turn of the year. And the Botman will be back for Brentford, says Craig. Of course, Botman on his way back at some point, so that would be great if he is going to be available for that particular game. The other thing I wanted to talk about, Joe, is the game coming up at the weekend. Anyone's got any questions, get them in the chat, and we'll ask Joe them in the last 15 minutes. But we've following the Carabao Cup penalty shootout success in August and a Premier League victory in February, we're making our third visit to the City Ground on Sunday to play Nottingham Forest, and it's a 2:00 kickoff. It's live on Sky Sports. All of our tickets, 2,950, have been allocated to Newcastle fans. Sold out as usual. The away ticket transfer scheme is in operation. Go to nufc.com if you need to do that. Neighbours, Notts County, have opened a fan zone for away fans going to the City Ground, limited to the first 1,000 away ticket holders. The Nest is on Ayamunga Road to the west of Meadow Lane. Bit early for team news on a Wednesday, but we do know that Trippier, Botman, Lascelles, Wilson remain out. We've had no updates as yet on Matt Targett. Last we heard of Matt, of course, was that he had a bad case of eczema. Jacob Murphy is a doubt for this game. Talk of him being available after the international break. Just a little niggle that he has. Newcastle have now 3 players who are one booking away from an automatic 1-game suspension. Joining Dan Burn and Joe Linton on that illustrious list is Fabian Shaw, who has, of course, been suspended already this season after his red card. The home team, Nottingham Forest, Nuno Espirito Santo's side have won each of their last 3 Premier League games, despite the manager serving a 3-match ban on the touchline. 3 ex-players lie in wait for us as well. Former Newcastle United striker Chris Wood has been on target in the last 3 games, and he's got 8 Premier League goals to his name so far. He is very much the man in form in the Premier League. And he is joined by Elliot Anderson, who's been in and out of the team, but when he's been in, he's played well. And Matt Sells, of course, a goalkeeper who didn't really get a look in at St James's Park. He's played in goal in the last 3 games. Referee has been announced for the game. Tom Dixon's already given them a shout out in the chat. Anthony Taylor is taking charge of his first Newcastle game this season. If the name rings a bell, it's because he's the man who brandished 14, 1-4, yellow cards during the Bournemouth-Chelsea game in September. VAR is a name which is quite new to me. Tim Robinson is in charge of VAR, so hope he has a good game. Metros, if you're watching locally, just being asked to push this out. No metros are going to run between North Shields and South Gosford on Saturday or Sunday. There is a replacement bus service, which is the number 900, and that'll run between Regent Centre and North Shields, calling it all or near to all the affected stations. And if you're travelling from down south for this game, engineering works mean the buses replace trains between Leicester and Bedford on the Midland Main Line. Fans travelling to and from London may be better off using King's Cross and going via Grantham. So, Joe, big game, because Forest are flying high at the minute. But the point I think I'd like to make about this game is that, you know, bubbles are there to be burst. Form doesn't stay around forever. And, you know, I don't think Forest have got the consistency to stay up there. And very rarely does it happen. Leicester's probably the one that you look at in the past where people go, the bubble's going to burst, the bubble's going to burst, they've won the league. Is that going to happen with Notts Forest? I very much doubt it. But they're having a great time at the moment, but somebody's got to put a dent in it. And why not us, Joe? We're in form as well.
Well, this is right, you know. I mean, what I said before about Forest, this is the highest position they've been in over 20 years. You know, bearing in mind that they did win the European Cup a couple of times in the 80s as well, you know. But the one player that you've got to look at straight away, and if I'm Eddie, I'm saying Dan Burn, you mark him when he goes to the toilet at half-time, be there for his, you know. And that's how tight you've got to mark him, because he's a big unit. But if Dan Burn marks him man-to-man, and like I said about the players, if everybody wins their battles, I remember the name of the lads called Yates, the midfield player. And obviously it's between him and Elliot Anderson, who's been playing. But that Yates usually gets the nod because he's a local boy that's come through all the ranks. But you have a look at his scoring record. I think he scored twice in his career. So you want to be playing him. And obviously, you just said Longstaff's not going to be playing there, but that's another thing to worry about. But
in Brentford, he's missing. Yeah, Brentford.
Oh, sorry, right, okay. So what you've got the other thing is, if you've got your players who their flair players is obviously Hudson-Odoi, you know, and Gibbs White. We've got the players at the minute to mark them. If Gibbs White plays in the central, you've got Shaw, who you're always going to have an extra man, if you know what I mean, because they'll play the one wide man. They never play both like fully up front, you know. And Forest have had success with the wide men with Woods because he's so dominant in the air. But with our fullbacks at the minute, Steve, I think the fullbacks are great at the minute. Really, I really do. I keep on forgetting, you know, Tino Livramento. He come through a hell of an injury with that ACL that he had at Southampton. You know, he was out for a full year, the boy, and he was, honestly, I've spoken to the people at Chelsea, and he was the hottest property in Chelsea's academy, you know, when he was a kid. And he's starting to regain that form now, and he's starting to get his place in the side. And it could be the time to see Kieran Trippier in the space of a couple of games. It's there, that shirt's there for his to claim. And I think in Lewis Hall, which we mentioned before, we've got like one of the best players at the club at the minute. His form's been outstanding, you know. So we've got enough defensively to take care of them. And your man who's scoring, obviously, is the Woods guy who's got 8 goals, and he's having the form of his life. So you say to Dan Burn, I'm going to give you that job, Dan. You go in there and mark him like his second skin, you know, and do a job of him that way. And I don't see them scoring goals because he's their main outlet. The next goal scorer they've got at the club's on 2 goals, and it's Hudson-Odoi, you know, and he's hot and cold every time. I mean, the lad that we were going to sign again is hot and cold and all. Alanga.
Yeah.
Alanga, I mean, and he was top dollar, you know, paying a lot of money for this lad. And the jury's out with me about him. So I think we've got enough defensively. And like I say, definitely attacking-wise, we've certainly got enough to take their defence on. I mean, they won 3-0 against West Ham, you know, in the last home game that propelled them into this position of third. They're there on merit. You can't take it away from it. They're there on merit. It's as simple as that. But at the same time, what I did say is them clubs, in the space of 3 points, 8 clubs, So you put 2 wins together, a win and a draw together, you're right in the mix, you know. And in the form that we're there, I'm wanting to go there, and the onus is on us to win the game. You just mentioned we've won there twice this season, by hook or by crook. We've beaten them twice, so we can do it again. I'm going into the game with a lot more confidence in what I tell you. In the space of this game of football, it also breeds confidence on the sidelines, you know, Steve. And I mean, I'd love Nick Pope to do what he did in the last minute when me and you were standing together, and everybody's breath was there when he come and he just caught that cross at the end of the game and fell to the floor. And all the air and all them breathing sighs of all them Newcastle, 52,000 Newcastle supporters, all the air that was coming out, and there could have been another outbreak of COVID.
Ultimately, from our perspective, this game is key because our away form has been poor, Joe. We've managed to get that wonderful win against Arsenal. Obviously, we beat Chelsea in the cup. It's time for Newcastle to stand up, and I feel almost like this is a pivotal game for us because if we win this game away from home, you go into the international break. Depending on the results that we've got, we could be up to 6th place, for example, just picking a potential place out the gap. But you're going into the next set of fixtures, which is a busy time, Christmas fixtures. You're going in with a real boost, aren't you? You know what I mean? And almost a full squad as well.
And that's brilliant, because the Christmas time is crucial in everybody's season. I mean, from time immemorial, it's been a crucial part because the games are thick and fast. And it's your squad then that the onus is on how good your squad is. Talking about this game, because that's the next one coming up. We're going into the Forest game. I think he'll play an unchanged side. I really think he will. And I mean, the side that started the game, I mean, they deserve to play again because I just thought they were absolutely, again, we're coming back to Strictly Come Dancing and the Black Lassie, they were fabulous. They really were. And I was delighted to come away. We were buzzing when we were walking away from St. James's Park, absolutely buzzing. We had the rest of the Saturday night to watch your favourite programme, Strictly Come Dancing. And I was giving it a 10 from Joe because we were absolutely superb. And I just think going into that game now on Sunday, like thriving with confidence, and fighting for places. Let's give Eddie a headache. Let's give him a headache by picking players to win games and everybody having the attitude, like I said, of Joe Willock, right? By saying, hey, I've done my shift. I'm knackered. Get somebody on, get some fresh legs on. And that's what he's done. And he put on Sandro for the last part of the game, And that's the attitude that you want. You want everybody in the same pot, everyone pulling together. And that's brilliant because the fans love that and the fans enjoyed the game. And I could tell the last 2 games at St. James's Park, the atmosphere for me was brilliant. I was buzzing watching the game. I was. I never shut up for 90 minutes and that's not like me. I never talk.
Craig says, I agree with Joe. Same tactics. We're not exactly lethal up front at the minute, but keep it tight. He also says that's why Pope doesn't catch the ball. He waits for the dramatic finale. Blue Rhythm Boy says, do you think Tonali's going to get paid off if he becomes a rotation player?
No, because at the end of the day, he's got to understand he's served his penance. Yes, he's been out for a year, but he's got no right to come into the side. You've got to earn the right. When you get the shirt, you get a chance when you're a footballer, Steve, right? You do that, right? There's your shirt. There's your hand. There's your shirt there. You get a chance to do that and keep a hold of it and grab it and don't let anybody take it off you. Or you're going like that and you let it go and somebody else takes your shirt. I was always one that wanted that. Even when it wasn't mine, I wanted it. They should have that attitude all the time. Keep your shirt. When you get it, make sure nobody gets it off you. Fight them for it.
Jules says, think Joe's after a gig. Joe is after a gig as a judge on Strictly. Or would he like to pop his dancing shoes on?
Well, I'm not being funny, but back in the day, I've got to be... I'm not being serious when I say this. I'm being truly serious. I used to be able to rotate them hips. And in the words of Shakira, the hips didn't lie.
Dear me, oh. What I'm going to say about Notts Forest, last word on that and get a prediction off you, Joe, is I think it's quite simple. I agree with what you were saying about, Big Dan Byrne and Chris Wood, but it's simple for me. Stop the crosses. Stop the crosses coming in. The rest of it will take care of itself. We need to make sure, because Gibbs, White, Alanga, whoever is playing, we just make sure we get on top of them. Anderson's going to be well up for this game. Chris Wood's going to be well up for it. There's no doubt about it. We just need to make sure that we defend like we have done this season, because defence hasn't been an issue. And I think the rest will take care of itself. Isak's on a good run. I am going to go for a third successive win in a row this over the course of the week. I'm going to go for 2-1. I'm still going to say Chris Wood's going to score. I think he will. But I think Newcastle will win 3-1. And I just got an inkling that he is going to change it slightly. I think he's going to adopt the Tinkerman nickname. He's going to be like Ranieri. I think he's going to tinker with the side a little bit. I think he'll bring Tonali back in for this game. I've got a feeling he's going to do that. I think he might bring Tonali in for Longstaff. Not sure, but I've just got a feeling. But I think there'll be one change. Don't think there'll be massive changes, but I think there'll be one. If there's any more enforced, of course, that's it. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 win, Joe.
Well, I think Longstaff will play, Steve. Just simply fact, I think he'll do a man-to-man job with this Yates, who's there like young lad, if you like, the young up-and-coming hero that the Forest fans love him, by the way.
Right.
And it is a game of horses for courses, but you can only beat what's in front of you, And at the same time, nobody's doubting anybody's ability at the club, When Eddie's making these changes and when he's making tactical decisions, they're not saying to Tonali, we're leaving you out, Tell Sandro's fans that he's not leaving him out because he doesn't rate him. He's purely doing it to win every single game by putting on his opinion, and he's the manager. And now we all want to be managers and we all want to be coaches. But in his opinion, that's the best 11 to get a result at the start of that game for Newcastle United. So like you said before at the start of the programme, in Eddie we trust, but we're not doubting anybody's ability. So whoever's in a black and white shirt, and trust me, when they're playing in black and white, them supporters, another sellout again for the away supporters. It's like second nature. They're unbelievable. They deserve more plaudits than they already get. They were fantastic at that, all the games, but the last two home games where I've been, they were absolutely superb. Unbelievable. I mean, I started singing, and yes, I might not be on The Voice. I might not be on Strictly Come Dancing, but I can still sing the Blatant Races at the top of my pitch. And I know one thing, I'm going for a 1-0 away win, and I've got to get one right shortly.
Come on, Joe. Come on. Mark Byers.
Son.
He's got a final question for you. If Joe had to wear a warning label for the rest of his life, what would it say and why?
If he was standing next to us, Mark, and I'm not on about Steve, I'm on about Steve's mate. He knows who I mean. I'm with this idiot, and point that way.
Thank you, David. He says, target seen on training video, Steve.
That's him. David. That's who it was. It was Target.
Target. Thank you, mate. All right, listen, Joe, great stuff. We'll be catching up anyway, face-to-face this week. Looking forward to that. As always, a pleasure to have you on the show. Lots of people loving the show, so thank you for coming on and doing it. And I just want to say a happy birthday to a mutual friend of ours, Carsey.
I think he's still got the record for consecutive clean sheets for Newcastle United.
He certainly has.
I think he has. And I always puzzled us as well on goalkeepers. Happy birthday, Big Kev. It always puzzled us on goalkeepers that David Seaman kept so many clean sheets with a name like his.
Don't forget, you can catch Joe live. He has been asked by Derek Wright to go along and compare his book launch. All proceeds are going to charity, even the book sales. So it's 22 quid a ticket. It covers the cost of the book and the event itself. So please get yourself along. It is at the Tyneside Irish Centre, and it is the 15th of November, 7 o'clock. Joe Allon and Derek Wright taking part in a one-off book launch stroke book signing, and that'll make a lovely present for anybody of a Newcastle United persuasion by Christmas, because Derek will be signing them as well. I'm back early tomorrow morning with Gibbo. Ask Gibbo. That'll be 10:30 in the morning. The Amigos, we've pre-recorded it for Friday, but it will still go out at 5 o'clock. So if you're in the chat, please spread the word on Friday that it's a pre-record. Joe, thanks very much, mate. Take care. See you soon, mate.
My pleasure, and thanks to the fans again. Brilliant. Thank you.